What's going on, you guys? So I'm here with a new video today, and yes, I'm here to profile for you guys INFERNOID. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell. You guys will be notified whenever I upload. You guys will also be notified whenever I go stream over on Twitch. Links in the description. Come through to one of my streams. We always have a great time. We always test a bunch of decks. This, again, is where we tested this deck. Quite a lot, actually, testing going first and going second. As you guys know, INFERNOID has been around for a really long time, and it literally bounces in and out of formats. Some formats it's good, some formats it's bad, some formats you just never see it. It did have some success last format. You guys already know it topped one of our California regionals. It also topped the Team YCS, and a lot of players go back and forth playing this deck. It's not a very easy deck to play. The deck does have some linear plays, but a lot of times you have to really know what you're doing based on the hand you get. The INFERNOIDs can brick you, they can cause problems, but I think the deck overall, if you know how to play it, is an awesome deck. It's literally a deck of DD Crows, and I think that any deck that plays like DD Crow in this format is very solid. It has really good matchup against Eldritch, being able to just crow away the Golden Lord at will with all your INFERNOIDs in tandem with Lair of Darkness is amazing. I think it's a real sleeper deck, and I think a lot of people do not give this deck enough credit. This is a build that I put together. It's a very streamlined build. I'm gonna let you guys know there's nothing super fancy in here, but I think that's exactly what you need for a deck like this. So hopefully you guys do enjoy. I got a lot of ideas from people in the INFERNOID group on Facebook, as well as just asking around, and we decided on a very streamlined build for it, so hopefully you guys do enjoy. And it's pretty, like I said, it's very straightforward. It gets to the point, and we'll get into it right now. So for the monsters, the INFERNOIDs, we play no hand traps, by the way. We don't main any hand traps. I'll explain that once we've done the monster count, but we just play INFERNOIDs. Of course, we play triple Decatron. It's your best. This is your only normal summon. This is just a really solid card. Becomes any INFERNOID you want. Copies the effect, copies the level. Cards are just great. You always want to hit it off Monster Gate, so it's really solid. You guys already know this card's been around for forever. To go with that, of course, we got 2 copies of Inoku, as well as 2 copies of Deviati. These are 2 of my favorite cards in the deck. I really love Deviati. It's probably my favorite INFERNOID. This card is just nuts. Inoku is like basically like a dark hole, and Deviati is a like a heavy storm. It blasts all the back row. Inoku blasts all the monsters. It's fantastic. The thing with INFERNOID, you have to make sure the level cap is never high, is 8 or less. So you summon these guys, you're locked into them, but they're both really strong. One being able to negate a spell or trap, one being able to negate a monster effect is just really solid. Again, in tandem with Lair of Darkness, these cards are insane. But you have to play 2 copies of each because, of course, the best card in the deck being Void Imagination. You have to make sure that you have multiple copies of these cards. That's really standard stuff. For some more big INFERNOIDs, I got 2 copies of Cydamus and 1 copy of Atondal. So this is standard too. You don't play more than this. It's really all you need. Like when you're playing Void Imagination, you just send, if you send 6, you send 1 of each INFERNOID. You send 1 Cydamus, 1 Atondal, the Petrulia, the Harmadic, all that stuff. 1 of the copies of the Deviati and the Inoku, and you're good to go. Cydamus is probably another one of my favorite INFERNOIDs. Just being able to banish any card non-targeting is great. Atondal is fantastic though for the Equimax play, but you can also do the Equimax play with Cydamus and with any INFERNOID depending on what your setup is, and I'll just explain that when we get to the extra deck. But these guys are just very standard in the deck. For the little INFERNOIDs, I got 2 copies of Petrulia. I was playing 3 originally, but you really don't see as many back row decks as you did the previous format, like during the YCS and stuff, but I feel that you still need to have Petrulia. Petrulia and Decatron, if you send Decatron for Harmadic to pop a monster summon Petrulia, by banishing that Harmadic, you are able to make an Omega in this deck, so that is pretty cool. That does come up a lot. That's one of the old school plays that we used to do back in the day, and you can still do it now. I do like Petrulia, though, being able to pop back row. Again, it being a DD Crow as well on the opponent's turn is important, too, so it's good to have these little INFERNOIDs. The 1 Harmadic, this card's just not as valuable as it used to be. So back in the day, this was like the most expensive INFERNOID. It was crazy. This was like the hardest one to get for some reason. It was one of the original ones. You used to play multiple copies of this. Now the card's just not as good, but you still play 1 copy because it's a name for Void Imagination, as well as being able to pop a monster sometimes does come in handy. So Harmadic is still there for that reason. And the 1 Antra. Antra is another one that doesn't get enough love and attention. I think this card's fantastic. The fact that it bounces is really important. I think people don't understand that, like, destruction is fine, but being able to bounce something is so much better because so many many monsters trigger in the graveyard. They trigger when they're destroyed by card effects or whatever. Being able to just bounce something is just fantastic. It also has 2000 defense, so it does come up in some situations that the card can actually help you than hinder you. So I really like the card. And the last Infernoid, the last monster, is of course the one Sajet. You hate drawing this card because you want to, if you're going first, you want to resolve Void Feast, and you want to be able to go double Decatron Sajet. There's other combinations you can do, but you just hate drawing Sajet, but I mean, you have to play it, so it's just a one-of. But that's it for the monsters. Again, we play no hand traps. I tried the Gamma Driver package. I did like it in the beginning, but I discovered that it was just better to play other spell cards that we do play, more blowout cards that I think are more important in certain matchups. But if you want to play hand traps, by all means, go ahead. This is just a very streamlined build that I've seen a lot of people playing. Then, of course, we're going to get to, unfortunately, the expensive cards of the deck, but you do have to play triple Pot of Extrav. Your extra deck, you play a lot of 3-ofs. You just need to get that advantage, and Extrav is just amazing in this deck. I feel you have to play it in this deck. It's fantastic. Obviously, you know, especially if they make you go first, being able to see 2 more cards is important, so we play that. One of my favorite cards in the deck is actually Dark Ruler No More, so I went back and forth between this and Evenly Matched and decided which card I really wanted, and I discovered that with Dark Ruler No More, even though I can't deal damage, I still can destroy an entire board. They can spend 20 minutes doing their whole play. I can Dark Ruler No More everything and then just start playing. Dark Ruler plus Void Imagination is absolutely insane because you send the Elder Entities and you just blow up an entire board, as well as just, you know, you just get so much advantage off that it's insane. I think this card is absolutely necessary. The Rock deck, the Adamantisapator deck, whatever you pronounce it, is playing this in the main deck. I think this card is definitely necessary in going second decks like this. You need those blowout cards. To go with that, we have triple copies of Lightning Storm as well, and I know a lot of people are saying, oh my god, like, how am I gonna, you know, play this deck? It's not budget. Yeah, it's not budget, but there are alternatives. You can play Twin Twister. Twin Twister is really solid in this deck because you can put the Infernoids in the grave, so just replace the Lightning Storms with Twin Twisters. I personally just like to Dark Ruler and then Lightning Storm away a whole board if it happens. You'd be surprised. It does happen a lot, so I just want that many blowout cards in this deck, so that's why we're playing them in the main deck. Again, if you don't have access to cards like Dark Ruler and Pot of Extrav, you can play Twin Twisters and stuff. And as far as like Pot of Extrav replacement, there really isn't one, but I mean, you can try like some other like draw engine or something, but I feel Extrav is unnecessary in this deck for sure. And then one of the main stars of the deck, of course, Triple Layer of Darkness. You guys already know, everything becomes dark. You just tribute your opponent's monsters for your Infernoid effects. It's insane. I don't know what else to say. Like, the card is just fantastic for this deck. Best card in the deck, of course, triple Void Imagination. I mean, this is shit all fusion on crack. You literally go second. You just go Void Imagination. If it resolves, I mean, things are going off. You're sending 6 Infernoids, summoning Tierra, doing God knows what else. But yeah, Void Imagination is fantastic. Its other effect does come up too, where it makes all your Infernoids level 1. That can come up because you can just summon a field of Infernoids and then have multiple negates. And even if the damage is halved, it's still enough to just blow out your opponent. So the card's fantastic. And then triple Vanishment to get everything. My only hindrance with this card is that you can only summon Infernoids. And while we are playing all Infernoids in our main deck, sometimes you want to access other cards in the extra deck, but you need this, especially if they make you go first. Obviously, you're going second deck. Being able to search Void Feast is really important too, so that's why you play all those. That's pretty standard. And then, of course, triple Monster Gate. I shouldn't have to explain that. Decatron's your only target. You can play some crafty stuff in the extra deck, in the side deck. Some people play Christia, Spell Canceller, depending on the format, Jinzo, etc. So Monster Gate's pretty cool. I like the card. Monster Gate plus Layer going second is broken. You just activate Layer, they do nothing. You Monster Gate away your opponent's monster. It's insane. Free pluses. So card's great. And then just the 1-for-1. I didn't play Terraforming in the deck. I thought about it. It could be the 42nd card. I just didn't play it because I just wanted to keep the deck like a little low as possible. I still couldn't get it to 40 because I wanted to play 1-for-1, but you don't have to play 1-for-1 if you don't want to, but obviously 1-for-1 for Decatron is insane, especially if you put an Infernoid in the grave. That's it for the spells and for the traps. Instead of Imperm, you guys know we played the Dark Ruler, so we decided to main deck triple Impermanence. I forgot, I guess this is technically the only hand trap. This card is amazing going first or going second. Obviously, we're going second deck, so being able to catch your opponent is great. Drawing it as your 6th card isn't that bad. You can blanket a card, and then you can start doing things, so it is important to play cards like this, especially if your opponent has a negate. You can bait the negate or turn off the negate with this card, then go Void Imagination, and hopefully just win the game right there. And then for the last card, the one Void Feast, because if they make you go first, this card's fantastic. You have many combinations. You can do Sidemus plus Decatron. If you draw the Sajet, you can go double Decatron Sajet. You can go, I think it's Decatron Harmadic, and Patrulia. So you have a lot of options with Void Feast. So I really, really like this card. But that's it for the main deck. It's 41 cards. On to just the extra deck real quick. The extra deck is very standard. Obviously, we're playing Pot of Extra, so you gotta play a lot of 3-ofs. Triple Tierra, the main card you summon. This card's nuts. You send 6 Infernoids with Imagination, then you use its effect. You send 3 cards from your extra deck, 3 cards from the top of both players' decks. It's nuts. Your opponent has to send 3 cards from the extra deck too. Card's insane. One of the main cards you send is Elder Entity NTSS. NTSS is just nuts, being able to pop a card. Some people play 2. I like 3. I haven't figured out what to cut for the 3rd copy. I'm sure there'll be another card that'll come up eventually, but for now, like I said, we're keeping the list extremely standard. Your win button, Echo Max. This card's nuts. You basically just link into either a Hida or a Link 2, then you summon one more monster, then you make this, then you summon Infernoids under this, and you just attack your opponent for infinite. It's just insane, and then you tribute off the Echo Max with one of either your Entondel or your Cydamus's effects, since they're during either a player's turn. You get the Echo Max off the board after all that damage, and you attack with the rest of your Infernoids for game, so card is amazing. Triple Gravity Controller to get rid of the Tiara and the extra monster zone. Sometimes you do that, you summon this, it becomes a form of interruption. It also helps you link climb during the next turn. Card's amazing. Then some just generic links. Link Karibo if our Decatron gets stopped. Phoenix for generic backer removal. Hida, this, I actually kind of want to bump this to 2. I might actually do that in the future. Maybe cut the Phoenix and play a second Hida. The card's great. Just being able to reborn in one of our opponent's ashes or something, and then link climb into Equimax is crazy. The one Wee Witch, since we play Layer of Darkness, all our monsters become dark. And then the Omega, because we can make it, the way I said, with Decatron going into Harmadic or Harmadic Patrullia, etc. Being able to make this card, it's also a good target for Tiara's effect, because then you can recycle a card in your graveyard, so I really like it. But that's it, you guys. That is the deck. Like I said, it's very, 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 very standard, but I think Infernoids is definitely a sleeper deck this format. It may not be one of the best decks of the format, but I think you should definitely give it a chance, especially if you know how to play the deck really well. I'm still learning how to play the deck. I played Infernoids way back in the day before cards like Void Feast and all that stuff existed, but I do really like the deck, and I think you guys should give it a shot. If you guys do like the deck profile, like I said, give it a thumbs up. If you guys are trying to purchase any of these cards, feel free to use my TCG player link. It's in the description below. Costs you no money. In return, just a portion of what you spend goes back to the channel. It helps me out, and I do appreciate it. But I really do like Infernoids. I do like this build. I do like going second with it, obviously. If you're forced to go first, like I said, you just try to get to Void Feast. If not, I mean, it's going to happen, but you do the best you can, and cards like Extrav and cards like that do help, but this is blindly going second. Being able to break stuff with Dark Ruler No More, Lightning Strike, etc. is really important, so just remember that, and do your best with it, because, I mean, I think the deck has a lot of potential, and I think if you give it a chance, you'll see that it can do wonders too. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.